Happy Thursday. Welcome into Let's Bet It. Thursday night football, or should I say Thursday night football, is upon us, and we're here to break it all down. Lauren Jbara, along with Jared Smith. We got a lot to talk about, Jared. Week 3 of the NFL football season starting tonight. How you feeling about it?
I feel great. This game stinks, but we're going to break it down anyways. I don't want to say stinks. That's mean. That's mean to some of the other Thursday night games that are going to come later in the year that are probably going to be just as bad. But this one does have some interesting elements to it. You have a new starting quarterback that we haven't really seen yet. You've got this really upstart Carolina team that I think is really good, but we're going to get some confirmation of that tonight. It should be a fun game, but you never know with these Thursday night games. They have a way to go in a weird direction sometimes.
Looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds tonight. Before we get started, I want to ask, what has been your favorite sporting event that you've ever been to? Because I feel like you've lived a good life so far, Jared. You got to have one or two that really stand out to you as like one of your favorites, and why?
So obviously, my heart right now is in college football mode. We had an unbelievable whiteout with Penn State last Saturday, which got me thinking about the best whiteout I ever attended, which was the first ever primetime full stadium whiteout. So they did the whiteout the prior year to this in 2004, but in 2005, Penn State got off to this really good start. Then they were welcoming in Ohio State on a Saturday night, primetime in Happy Valley, Kirk Herbstreit, Fowler, the whole bunch. They came for college game day, and this building was absolutely rocking. It was the best moment of my sophomore year in college. Penn State went on to go to the Orange Bowl that season. They lost to Michigan on the final play of the game. I won't mention too much more about that. That was their only loss of the year, and then they went on to be in the Orange Bowl, and they beat Florida State in triple overtime. But that whiteout game against Ohio State, they won 17-14. Tom Bahali had the last sack of the game on Troy Smith, ended the game. The place went nuts. I won't talk about what happened after the game a little later in some off-campus establishments, but it was a very fun night for me.
Off-campus establishments having just a couple adult juice boxes. It's no big deal. All right, I'm actually going the college football route too, because I take it back to 2011. It was my freshman year at the University of Michigan. First game under the lights at the Big House. It was a maze out too. Notre Dame at Michigan, and it was absolutely incredible. Notre Dame was leading basically the entire game, and at the end, came back. Michigan ended up winning on a last-second touchdown drive.
I remember this game.
Yeah, don't you?
Go back and look this game up.
Yes. Yeah, and it was really hard for me because I grew up a Notre Dame fan.
Oh.
The first time that I was actually rooting against Notre Dame, being a Michigan student. And it actually made me fall in love with the University of Michigan even more, because literally I cannot just explain the energy that was happening after that game. Like the entire time chanting out of the stadium, "It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine." And it was unreal. And then also had a couple adult beverages at one of my favorite bars, Scorekeepers, or as we like to call it, Keeps. All my Michigan people will know. If you know, you know. So that's all I got to say. But yeah, it was incredible. There's been quite a few different games that I've been to over the years, back being a Red Wings fan, a couple Stanley Cup playoff games. With Steve Yzerman, Chris Chelios, all those guys. But, this is one that stands out to me as one of the best ever. And we love the college football.
Yes,
you gotta love it. All right, we got a big slate of games for the day. Thursday night football picks. And then Jared wants to be a tease. He's going to tell us about his teasers. I think you have 2 of them, right?
I'm a much bigger tease than you this week. No doubt about it. That's probably every week, right?
And then we got John Hyslop, or as I like to call him, Sloppy John, giving his picks and props. He's going to join us. And then we can't end without talking about the Pickswise play of the day. So let's get right into it. Thursday night football, the Houston Texans taking on the Carolina Panthers. And this is the story of 2 teams with new quarterbacks, reasons for optimism. Let's hope it lives up to last week's standard, as last week's Thursday night football battle did not disappoint us. But Tyrod Taylor's bad luck continues. Started the season in basically his career best form. He's now hitting the IR and will miss a minimum of 3 weeks. Deshaun Watson still inactive. So rookie Davis Mills is going to get the start, and the Texans are 1-1 after losing to the Browns last week. No, Carolina dominant, 2-0 in their first 2 weeks. Sam Darnold kind of proven to be a serviceable quarterback for them. And obviously Christian McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey. So this is going to be a really exciting matchup. The Panthers defense is good. They've only allowed 21 points over the last 2 weeks. Jared, you got a few bets on tonight. How you feeling about the Texans? How you feeling about the Panthers? And what side are you leaning towards right now?
I'll say this. If this was a Sunday game, I probably would be betting the Texans in this spot because the line's moved off of 4 and now it's all the way to 8. I'm seeing 8.5 in some spots. And I don't know if Tyrod Taylor to Davis Mills is worth 4 points. Maybe it's worth 1. Maybe it's worth 2. I don't think it's worth 3. It's definitely not worth 4. But that's what the line is moved to. And I think a lot of it is also Carolina's strength has pushed this line now through that key number of 7 all the way to 8. Again, 8.5 in some spots, depending where you do your shopping. Our producer Jack wanted me to get this stat in. It's not going to impact my feeling on this game because when you look back at some of these games, I would assume that there's interesting other nuances that made this happen. But in the last 10 years, quarterbacks making their first career start on Thursday night with just 3 nights of prep, which is what this is for Davis Mills, 5-0 against the spread, 4-1 straight up, and 4 of those games, the underdog was the one that cashed.
That's unbelievable.
So it is. It makes you think that the books might be undervaluing the volatility that these new quarterbacks bring to the table. But Davis Mills did not look great last week. Davis Mills is a 3rd-round rookie quarterback, which means he wasn't expected to play this year. He probably would have been fortunate just to kind of be on the practice squad and kind of be a 3rd string, maybe at best a backup quarterback. Because when you get drafted that late, you're not expected to play in your rookie season as a 3rd-round, rookie. So that is very unique. And on the other side, Carolina, I mean, everyone we talk to say that they're legit. Like their extreme performances, they expected to be about a 500 team this year based on their win total. I think 7.5 was actually the win total. So actually a little below 500 with the extra game. They look like they could be a 10-win team. And a lot of the bookmakers we talked to confirm that. Carolina should win this game, but it's never that easy in the NFL, especially on Thursday night. Crazier things have certainly happened.
Absolutely. I know. And I just look at these two teams and honestly, both teams, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring game today.
I agree.
They've only scored 45 points over the last 2 weeks, and they've only allowed 21 points. So I'm taking under 4.5 total touchdowns at plus 104. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but I'm also kind of hedging it. I'll get into that in a second. But Jared, give me a couple of your bets that you have for tonight.
So prop bet guy, we love him. He gave this out very early in the week. Lines moved a lot, so I wouldn't go too crazy here. Usually with the props, and this is more of a general rule for me, I usually go a quarter unit on every prop. Like I don't go crazy with props. I'll do full units on my spreads and totals and teasers. And the props, I just kind of like to throw out some fun ones. So I'm going a quarter unit on this one. Sam Darnold over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'll be honest, I do not see any value betting any McCaffrey props tonight, touchdown. I mean, they juice those numbers.
There's no value there at all.
0. They suck the value out of that. So you have to look to the other side of the coin, whether it be Darnold or whether it be my boy Chuba Hubbard. Because if you think about the game script tonight, if the game plays true to the numbers and the Panthers are up by a score or 2 scores late, I'm assuming on short rest, McCaffrey's gonna take a seat. And they're going to give this Chuba Hubbard rookie who's, I mean, you watched him at Oklahoma State. I mean, he was fantastic in his career in college. Now he comes to Carolina, and he got some run last week. He got 8 carries last week. I could see him factoring in late garbage time touchdown. His touchdown prop is over 4-1. Put a little sprinkle there. That's an LJ plus money special. Yeah, why not? And again, game script. Davis Mills is going to be behind. They're going to be throwing it. If you sell about 15 or 20 yards, you can find this on PointsBet. Davis Mills 225 passing yards or more, which is pretty average for a quarterback. That's plus money, plus 108. So I'll take a flyer on that too. And then these are the crazy touchdown bets. Sam Darnold had a rushing touchdown in week 1. Why can't he have one here? 5-1 on the QB for the Panthers, who's going to touch the ball every red zone snap to find the end zone. And then obviously if the Texans stink, the Carolina defense special teams is in play for a touchdown. So those are some fun little sprinkles. The Darnold one's minus money. Everything else is plus money. So you get a little bang for your buck there.
I know. I look at the Sam Darnold one and I'm like, last week we got Daniel Jones anytime touchdown at plus 450, which was crazy. I'm like, that was such good value now. And all right, for me, You know, I'm always looking at the plus money props, or as we like to call it, the plops. I got to give the people the plops.
We love plops. Plops are a thing. They are
give
a thing.
Give the people the plops because the people want the plops. So here's the plops for the people. Okay. Brandon Cooks, anytime touchdown, plus 185. I think he's on track for another like 1,000-yard season. And I think this will probably be his 6th. I mean, he's already earned 21 targets, 14 catches, 210 yards, and a score this season. And you want to know his score? That was a 2-yard connection with quarterback Davis Mills. So I'm just throwing that out there. Nico Collins on the IR, Danny Amendola, unlikely to suit up. Cooks, I think he's going to be the guy that Davis Mills is going to look for tonight. And then also I'm kind of hedging my under 4.5 touchdowns for the entire game with Davis Mills total touchdowns over 1.5 at plus 162. I think it's interesting because it's basically saying, you know, for this to win, the quarterback has to throw at least 2 touchdown passes against a team that's only allowed 21 points through 2 weeks this season. I think it's tough, but I think it's doable. And I mean, you gave those stats at the beginning about a rookie quarterback. And just because the Panthers don't have a ton of film on him, I just think it's hard to kind of know how to prepare for a quarterback that you don't necessarily know his style or his play, right? And I think that, you know, they're most likely going to stick to the run. The Texans are. But at the same time, I don't rule out like short yardage touchdowns as well. So I'm going rookie Davis Mills, total passing TDs over 1.5 at plus 162. That's a lot of numbers, a lot of words. I don't know.
And that's a lot of juice for that because that's the standard usually, 1.5. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like run lines, you know, they usually unless it's like an Aaron Rodgers or a Mahomes, usually it's like a 1.5 flat for every passing touchdown QB prop. And then they just, you know, fluctuate the juice depending on if you're Davis Mills or if you're Sam Darnold, minus 140, minus 150, Davis Mills plus 150, plus 160. But that the way that this game shapes up game script wise, you will likely have a chance to hit both of those bets in the fourth quarter. Like I would assume there will be 4 touchdowns on the board and Davis Mills will have one of them in the fourth quarter. And you'll either have the garbage time score by Mills to hit one prop or it'll stay under the 4.5 total touchdowns. I would assume if I had to base like where my brain is at, 3-1 touchdowns makes sense for me. The Panthers will score 1 in each of the first 3 quarters and the Texans will get 1 throughout that stretch. So I think in the fourth quarter, you're going to be live on both of those. And again, that if you're on a plop and you've got action, if you're betting plops and you've got action in the fourth quarter, you had a good night because then it could go either way.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. I think I'm feeling good about tonight. You know, when you just wake up and you're like, I feel really good about my picks today. That's how I feel right in this moment. And I know you feel good because you are such a tease. We got some teasers. And I don't think it's just one. It's just 2, a 2-time tease. 2-time tease.
Massive tease, Lauren. It's obviously this week, much bigger tease than you. All right. So we're putting the Panthers in because I just don't see. So this is a great week for teasers. You have multiple teams favored between 7 and 9 points that I think are going to win their games. And that means you could get those teams through those key numbers of 7 and 3 down to a -1, 1.5, somewhere in that range. And if you can find the right permutation, you could have a very successful week with teasers. And we've given out 2 teasers the first 2 weeks, 1 each week. We're 2-0. So I don't want to jinx it, but
we is in you.
We is in me. The collective
we're a team.
The Let's Bet It team is collectively 2-0 with teasers. So we're going to we're going for broke this week. We're either going to be 4-0 or we're going to be 2-2 probably after this week. No, maybe we'll go 1-1, but hopefully not. So we'll put the Panthers in there tonight. Obviously, we give you all the reasons why we think that everyone that I talked to this week says they are the biggest surprise in the NFL because of just how good their defense has been and because of how good Sam Darnold has looked. So we're going to pair them with the Cardinals, who are on the road against the Jaguars. And I think Arizona has some problems defensively, but Arizona has, I think, the MVP of the league through the first 2 weeks. Yeah. And if Kyler Murray keeps playing at that level, they're not going to lose this game. They might not cover the spread, which is 7.5, But I don't think Arizona's going to lose at Jacksonville as long as Kyler Murray gets to touch the ball last. So that's one of our teasers. Panthers -2 from 8 to 2. Arizona from 7.5 to 1.5. Teaser number 2. This one got locked in yesterday once we heard about the Justin Fields news. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Justin Fields, that should be good for Chicago. I think the ceiling is higher than Andy Dalton, but I think the floor is lower with Justin Fields. And I think that gives Cleveland an opportunity to really clench their fist. They're really good up front. They've got those 2 great defensive ends, Garrett and Clowney. I think they're going to give Fields problems. And I think it's the Cleveland offense against the Chicago defense that's given up 6 yards per play through the first 2 weeks. And Cincinnati wasn't exactly guns a-blazing last week. The Rams had a good week, on the opening night. But I think the Chicago defense is really what I'm worried about here with Cleveland's offense. And we're going to pair that with the Bills. Because the Bills face Washington. Say what you want about Josh Allen. He's been good. That Bills defense is the real deal. 3.7 yards per play in their first 2 weeks. That's the fewest in the NFL with Carolina. Buffalo -1.5 through 7 through 3. Cleveland -1 through 7 through 3. We love these teaser spots this week, getting those good favorites, those solid touchdown favorites down to a reasonable number. It is a very good week to be a tease.
It's a very good week to be a tease. Jared Smith, 2-time tease heading into this weekend. You'll love to see it. All right, special guest, John Hyslop, Sloppin' John, breaks down all of his picks for the weekend and what to expect for week 3. Jared, he got to sit down with you, so take it away.
All right, time to have some fun. Our guy, John Hyslop, or as Lauren likes to call him, Sloppy John, hanging out with us here on a Thursday, getting right into it, J-Bones. I like this Thursday night matchup because we got a little bit of action, I think, and I think the prop market's interesting as well. But overall, when you look at this game, it's not going to blow you away on paper, but I think this game offers a little bit of intriguing value.
It's Thursday night football, so, that's fun. You know what I mean? Like, right away, that gets me out of bed. So I know I'm going to watch it. Immediately, you got to bet it. So you just got to find an angle. That's all this is about. Thursday night football, you have to.
Got to find the angles. So when you look at this game from a prop perspective, the game script in my mind, Houston will likely be behind at some point, which means there's going to be some passes thrown by Davis Mills, likely fourth quarter garbage time. You're really good at finding these off-the-radar guys that maybe you don't think are going to have an impact in the game, but their number's so low you have to at least consider it, and it looks like you got one of those guys again on your card for this week.
Yeah, here's what you never do, right, ever. And you don't take a running back prop on a guy that's in a 3-back running back committee. So never do that. But with that being said, we're going to take David Johnson's receiving yards prop over 16.5. That was hanging at FanDuel. I mean, it's tough to know who's going to be out there. So this is going to suck for one reason, because you're going to be watching and you're like, oh, is that Johnson that just caught that? It's like, no, that was Ingram or that was Lindsey. So you're going to, for one, you're going to learn guys' numbers tonight. Okay. You're going to learn 2 other guys' numbers, and hopefully it's Johnson's, but he's the guy that's out there in the passing down situation. So like the 2-minute drill last week, he was out there with Tyrod Taylor right before the half. So if we get lucky and they have the ball in a 2-minute situation, that's a great time to get some just cheap garbage yards that mean nothing in the game, but mean a lot to us, Yep. Also, too, in the second half, you just said, if they're behind, well, let's hope they're behind. I think they probably will be. I mean, it's tough to say, but if I had to guess, that's the way I'd go. And last week, Davis Mills came in the second half, and he targeted Johnson, I think, for all of his targets. He got him only 2 times officially, but there was a third one that was wiped out by a penalty. So I mean, that's in a half of football. 3 targets. All we need is like a screen or something to go for 15 yards, and then we can get a tack on one later. So you might not even need 3 receptions to get here, but you could get 3. I mean, you could even take the over 2.5. That was plus money, so plus 110. But I think that's the way to play it. That's the way I'm going to. I like Brandon Cooks, but I'm scared of him with Mills. I mean, Tyrod Taylor was force feeding him the ball. Yeah. Can Mills even get him the ball? Like we don't know that, So I think Johnson's the way to go, and we're going to do that, even though you should never do that.
I think when you look at a game with an underdog as sizable as Houston, the props on their end are going to be priced significantly lower than they probably should be, because the look-ahead line here is 4, and the total is already pretty low. So I think you're getting a disc. If you're willing to hold your nose and bet on some kind of Houston Texans variable tonight, in this case, David Johnson, you're going to get a good number. That doesn't mean it's going to win, but you're going to get a favorable number. And on Thursday night, all you can ask for is to get good numbers, because I think now, week 3, you're starting to see these lines sharpen up. But I'll be honest, if this game was on Sunday, I probably would have played the Texans. It's the Thursday night variable that scares me a little bit, to take the extra value with Houston. But the line is telling you that the Texans are giving you a little bit of value there.
Here's what I mean. If you want, I would tease the Texans maybe. If you
you go through 14.
Yeah. I mean,
go up to 14 and a half. That's not a bad spot.
They're not that bad. I mean, that's a compliment. Like they were supposed to be the worst team in the NFL, but they're not that bad. I mean, they covered last week against Cleveland.
Yep.
I mean, with a backup
quarterback. And they won outright as a dog in week 1.
Jacksonville stinks, but I mean,
Jacksonville's bad.
Still, they still worked them. It wasn't like this dog fight with this horrible team. So they're not that bad. I mean, that's all I can say about them. They're not that bad. So that's one reason why I wouldn't want to take the Panthers tonight, because you might turn on the TV and you're watching a team and you're going to start rooting for the Texans once they start winning. You know what I mean? And now you're sitting there with the Panthers and you're like, you're all conflicted. It just ruins your Thursday night, which is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to have a great Thursday, head into the weekend with, some cash in our pockets, hopefully. And that's it. So you got to go to the prop market, man. Like the lines are that 8 points is I'm not
too many.
I'm not taking the Panthers and I'm not taking the Texans plus the 8. But you could tease them, and that's kind of fun. Having any NFL team plus 14. Not that bad.
Yeah, and I think the teaser market is very, very hot. That's the kids say. It's hot this week. You're rocking that Carolina blue too. So you're rooting a little bit. You got that looks more like Tar Heel blue than the Panthers blue.
Yeah.
Are you a college hoops guy? Are we going to be getting ready for some college hoops? College hoops starts in like 6 weeks, by the way. I don't know. It's really soon.
I can't wait. The prop market's good in college basketball.
Oh, tremendous.
I mean, that's a fun, like you'll get those 1.5 3-pointers plus 120, like that's a fun bet, So I can't wait for that. But no, not a Carolina guy. I was when I was younger, just so I could wear the Carolina blue because I always like that color.
Great color.
That's a sweet color. I mean,
it is.
You really can't go wrong with that. So that's the reason for the sweatshirt.
I love it, man. Very stylish. Speaking of stylish, props to your guy, Joe Ryan, last night. Not quite as the flow like you have with that great flow. He has good flow, too.
He's got great flow.
Tremendous flow. Yep. Awesome call on the 4.5 Ks. I don't want to get too much into that handicap because it was yesterday. But what I do want to stress, there are opportunities in September with some of these crap major league teams. Joe Ryan pitches for the Twins. With teams that are way out of it. They're bringing up guys. They're trying to give them run. They're going to get extended, innings because, the bullpens are kind of, in shambles at this stage of the year. So there are opportunities in the strikeout props market, in the outs prop market, if you're willing to fish in the bargain basement. Obviously, Joe Ryan was one of those guys. Yeah, and you got another guy tonight. Now, the line's moved a lot already since this morning. But just speak to how you can, and I guess talk about your boy Glenn Otto and how a pitcher like him represents a slice of value in the baseball markets at this late stage of the season.
Well, for one, you got to realize that like they hung 2.5.
It's crazy.
Glenn Otto, like that's 3. Like that's not that many strikeouts. I mean, if you go through these lineups and
you can get that in 1 inning.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like if you're familiar with math, it's not even math really. It's counting. You know what I mean? Like that's all that is. It's like 3 strikeouts. So that's one thing that always gets my attention. When I see that, I'm like, all right, like you're gonna disrespect this guy like that. I'm gonna look into him. So you go to FanGraphs or any of those sites that have minor league stats. See if the guy's a strikeout guy, because there are strikeout guys, even though they're minor league stats, so they don't necessarily translate. But you wonder if he's got like 12 Ks per 9 innings, I'm interested in 2.5. You know what I mean? So now you look at the juice, obviously. I mean, you're not going to go too crazy. I mean, I hate going minus 160, minus 150 even, but for 2.5, I might. So now you just go look it up. Just find out, what's this team been doing. And he's got the Orioles tonight, and they're not good. Like the only reason that Otto has not gotten, 5, 6 in like each start is because he's getting knocked out of the games. Like you have to be in the game to get a strikeout, right? Like that's just the fact. So the problem is, I think it was Houston got him for 7 earned runs. The game before that, Oakland got him for 8. Well, he still got 5 strikeouts against Oakland. I mean, the guy went 3 in a third and gave up 8 runs, but still struck out 5 guys. Why won't he get 3? That's crazy. But he still, like I say, but
he still hit the strikeout number.
Doesn't matter for us. Like, we don't care. Give up 15. Like, I don't care. Just strike out, 3 guys. Well, last game against Houston, who they do not strike out. They struck out the least of anyone in baseball. He got 3 of them in 3 1/3. He gave up 7 runs, which is why he only went 3 1/3. But my point is, they're gonna let him go. They're gonna let him pitch for whatever he got. I mean, he threw 69 pitches, 78 the time before that, 84 before the time that.
That's enough to get 3. Yeah. Now you're not going to get this number now, and I think that's the key. I wouuld reach for I think I saw 4.5. You never see a strikeout number move 2
plus
in a
money,
short period of time.
Think about it.
I think it's moved too much now to really consider it. But the theory behind waking up in the morning, looking at some of these no-name pitchers that are going to probably get an inning or 2 longer run because of the situation that they're in this case, you got a team, with the Orioles that you don't expect them to really pound the baseball too much. And it sets up as a very interesting spot. So look for those spots on the baseball card. I know we're focused on football, but the sports books are focused on football too. That gives us opportunities to kind of attack that fresh powder in the morning with some of these no-name pitchers, and nobody better than my man, John Hyslop. Good luck with your bets tonight. David Johnson, over 16.5 receiving yards. That's the sloppy prop of the day. Great stuff. Let's now find out what our Pickswise plays of the day are.
That's awesome. We'll see how those picks fare at the end of tonight. We got about 12 hours until then. All right. We can't end the show without our Pickswise play of the day. At the end of every show, we give our picks, but we also highlight the 3-star pick from the Pickswise website. So Jared, hit me with it. I know the Ryder Cup's this weekend.
I'm jacked for the Ryder Cup. So Saturday, I wasn't really planning on watching. I mean, there's some good college football games in the afternoon. Some of the better ones are at night, but I'll be watching the Ryder Cup all day. So our boy Joe Champion, awesome name, by the way. Shout out Joe Champion. He's got this pick on the Pickswise site. I'll be honest, it's juicy. So if you like that adult juice beverage, vibes, then you're going to love this pick. USA is a juicy one. USA is minus 200 to win the Ryder Cup. That is the 3-star play of the day. I like the pick because what it denotes is 66.666667% implied odds. And I do see the U.S. winning the Ryder Cup in 7 out of 10 scenarios. They're at home. It's at Whistling Straits in Wisconsin. It's a Bombers course. And I like what the captain, Steve Stricker, did. He brought in a lot of rookies, a lot of guys that have never been in the Ryder Cup before. But these are all guys with one thing in common. All the guys that Steve Stricker picked are all excellent putters. And that's a weakness of Team Europe. They've got the experience. Sergio Garcia, Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter, they've been in many Ryder Cups before. They've handled the emotions of being in an international event. But I think the putting for Team USA is going to be the difference here. So I'm not going to go crazy with this pick because it's juicy, but I would, if I were to bet a side in the Ryder Cup, I would certainly lay it with Team USA. That's what Mr. Champion recommends to do on the Pickswise 3-star play of the day. It's really like a play of the weekend. So you're getting a lot of action here throughout the course of the next few days.
Yeah, great putters. Maybe they could teach Jared and I a thing or two on the greens on the golf course.
I have confirmation, by the way. We are going to have a Pickswise golf outing from the man himself, DP. Confirmed it. It's going to happen.
DP.
It's going to happen.
Hit it up. I'm all about it. All right. Well, I'll also let all of you Pickswise Nation get in on this every single week. Vote for your favorite play. Follow Pickswise on Twitter to take part. All right. Time for our plays of the day. Jared, what is yours? Hit me with it.
So the last 2 days, I've been flying with the birds. Cardinals. The last 2 nights have been our play of the day, flying away, and they just keep giving us What was that from Napoleon Dynamite? Right.
Absolutely.
Amazing movie. I've had comparisons to Uncle Rico before, but we'll get to that offline.
That's another time, yeah.
Of course, why not? Throw it over the mountain. I'll throw the ball over the mountain. The Cardinals have been throwing it over the mountains. The last 2 nights, we've been on them as plus money. They've actually been an underdog this is the 4th straight day they've been an underdog against the Brewers. And I understand the Brewers are great. They're going to win the Central. They're going to be one of the top seeds in the National League. But they have nothing to play for. The Cardinals are still nitty-gritty trying to grind out that National League wildcard berth. And we're getting them at plus money again today. It's an afternoon game, so hopefully we can get this up posted early. If not, we'll send something out because I think the Cardinals at plus money is another gift from the gambling gods. Adam Wainwright's on the mound. They've won 11 straight games. How can I fade the Cardinals at plus money when they've won 11 straight games? You have to keep betting them till they lose. We're going to ride them again today. St. Louis on the money line at Milwaukee. Some matinee baseball at Miller Park.
Or it's like me at the blackjack table where you keep going until you lose. And then after you lose, you're like, okay, I'll win the next one and I'll just get back to where I was. And then
no, Lauren, we have to talk about your gambling strategy.
I know, it's not great. All right, my Pickswise play of the day. I'm kind of hedging a couple of my other bets for the day, but I have Texans under 16.5 points at plus 100. I'm winning money tonight no matter what. I'm kind of all over the board. But you know what? It's going to be absolutely magical if I win them all. But at least I'm going to win.
Thursday.
Right?
Have some fun.
I know, exactly. It's Thirsty Thursday.
Let's go. Take a sip.
Football. So you know what? Maybe drunk. Just kidding. I'm sober right now. But you know what? My picks seem like they're a little bit drunk. So this is one of my favorite plays because it's pitting Carolina against a not so great Texans offense. And I hate saying that because I am betting on Davis Mills today. But I think I was high on the Panthers defense coming into this year. They have a lot of, former first rounders, breakout stars in their defense, and they've delivered through 2 weeks, ranking first in average yards, 190, and points allowed 10.5 per game. Now they get to tee off on Davis Mills, who, I mean, we saw what he did. He kind of was missing receivers left and right at the game on Sunday. And so they scored 7 points under him in week 2. I just don't think that they're going to score much tonight. So I have him scoring over 1.5 touchdowns. Scoring under 16.5 points. There's that little sweet spot there. So you know what? I
think it's, and also I don't think the Texans are going to be trying to kick too many field goals.
Exactly.
They're going to need to be scoring touchdowns because I think they're going to know that home game, prime time, even though it's Thursday night, they're going to be going for broke. Yep. Listen, I'd be willing to bet you are going to hit at least one of these picks because you're on both sides. You're going to hit one of them.
And if I bet them all, that would just be like, holy crap.
Yeah, just have some fun. Sprinkle. Thursday night's not a go for broke night. It's a find some fun bets, throw some sprinkles on there.
It's not Sunday yet where Jared sits on the couch and doesn't leave for 12 hours. But
I do get a Peloton in the morning usually, though.
That's true. Yeah. Get a little exercise in before a full day of football. Working hard mentally, putting those bets in. I love it. All right, that's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Lauren Jbara. Best of luck tonight. Cheers. Thursday, Thursday night football. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.